I'll just keep right on drawing.
One just popped up. Such a cute character. How do you draw something in a tilted and twisted pose? I really struggle with this.
Well, it helps to know the anatomy first. And I know the anatomy. I've been studying the anatomy, and I co-directed Brother Bear, so I've drawn a lot of bears. And so it helps to know the anatomy, and then you can kind of draw it in any way you want.
And do you always begin with a gray background?
I do. That's a good question. I haven't talked about that in a while. I always begin with a gray background because when you start with white, everything looks darker than it really is. Let me show you. So let's fill this in with white. There we go. So let's fill that background in with white. Now let's say I want to do a color that's fairly light, a light color. Let's say I want to do, I want to lay down this color right here. Now this color, when you see it against white, it looks fairly dark, right? But if I put a gray background in, like I usually do, if I put that gray background in, watch what happens to this color. Look how light that looks. That gives me a truer sense of what that value is and what it looks like. When it's white, once again, when it's white, it looks dark. So I always try to start with a mid-tone. That way I'm able to judge my values, meaning light and dark, a lot better. There we go. You see that?
Nice.
Nice.
It's great.
We're back up on YouTube.
Yay! So, can you share your experience about Richard Williams?
You know what? I never got to meet Richard Williams. I never did, unfortunately.
What is your favorite animal to illustrate and or animate?
I love bears, and I love
Bears.
big cats. Love bears, and I love big cats. Now this head, I've drawn a little bit big. So I'm going to shrink it down, and I want to stretch it out a little bit. Just a touch.
Do you have an anatomy course?
I do. I have a how to draw human anatomy course. It's actually one of our biggest, most popular courses.
And for animals, we also have like bears, horses.
Yeah, I've got how to draw bears, how to draw big cats, how to draw horses. I'm working on how to draw birds of prey. Dustin and I are working on that. So, I know that this guy, he's got shoulders that come in like this. I want to give him a longer neck. Just move him right up there like so. YouTube question. I have a habit of forgetting to add layers and just drawing on the background layer in Photoshop. Do you know any way of taking the sketch off the background and moving it off to a different layer? Yes, I can show you how to do that. Let's. I'll give you a quick lesson. Let's do it. I'm just going to do it really fast on this. Okay, so let's say I like to start with gray. So I'm going to fill this with gray. And let's say I forget to, I draw, here, there's my drawing. I drew on the background layer. Oh no, what do I do? Well, this is what you do. You're going to you're going to copy that to a regular layer. Okay, see how I just dragged it down, went to plus, and it copied. Then I'm going to go and create a new layer in between. I'm going to make that gray. I've just filled it in. So look over on the right. You can see I just filled it in. Now I'm going to highlight the background. All right. And I'm going to merge those layers. So now I've corrected at least the background layer. But now I've got a layer on top that is it's still got, you know, the entire thing is filled. So now what I do is I grab my select color range, and then I tap the gray. All right, so tap that gray and hit OK. Now all the gray is highlighted now, and I come up to select, or actually you can just go Command X. And so now, whoops, I was on the wrong layer. Let me do that again. There we go. Now I'll go Command X, and now if you look over here on the right in my layer, it's all fixed. The drawing is fixed now. And we don't have a gray, it's not connected to gray at all. So that's how I do that. Oh, and by the way, on the human anatomy course, Nick is reminding me, the human anatomy course right now is only $1. So if you want to learn an entire course on human anatomy, you can get it from us for $1.
Just $1?
Yes. So there you go.
Is that white and gray thing you were talking about applicable when you're working on paper as well?
Yes.
Usually paper is kind of white, especially watercolor paper.
Yes. Well, but you can't, you know, with watercolor, you have to use white as if you're doing it as transparent watercolor, you have to use that white. So I don't have that ability, you know, to do, I can't tone the paper like that in watercolor because I'm working from light to dark. So it doesn't work with every medium.
What type of bear is this you're drawing?
This is a grizzly.
Grizzly. Nice big old grizzly.
There we go.
When you start sketching, what opacity do you have your brush on? And
100%.
100%?
Yep.
And when you start adding color, do you also keep your color opaque or transparent?
When I start adding color in the beginning, I make it 100% opaque. So I'm going to rotate him. Twitch question. I assume you work in RGB, but how do you convert it to CMYK for your prints? Every time I try, it looks weird. I try to remember to do it in CMYK, but usually I end up doing it in RGB. I don't. I don't have a problem when I convert it, so I'm not sure what's happening with you. I don't know.
When is the Birds of Prey course coming out?
Soon.
Soon.
It's taking a while to get it shot, but it's a big course.
Could you do a future course on African animals?
Yes, we have that in the works.
How old were you when you first started drawing? Noticing this was something you were good at and enjoyed.
Well, I started drawing things that you could recognize. My parents told me I was drawing things that they could recognize, like faces and people, when I was about 9 months old. But after that, I really started enjoying drawing as something that I wanted to do. By the time I got to be about 6 or 7 years old, that's when I realized I really wanted to be an artist. I never wanted to be anything else.
What's the most difficult thing about making an animal into a cartoon?
Finding the right character, finding, you know, how far do you want to push it, first of all. In this case, I'm not pushing it too far. But I am making sure that you could see pupils and iris, you know, and all that. That helps give it character.
What if the bear is talking to a chipmunk or a squirrel?
I'm actually going to have a butterfly coming through
Ah.
in the light. This is all about light today.
Are you familiar with David Coleman's work?
I know David Coleman and I are very good friends, actually, and David Coleman's going to be doing a course for us.
Ooh. That'd be quite nice.
Yeah. The human anatomy is not our only great deal, by the way. This is Nick is reminding me. You can also get you can get all of your long distance call for just $1 when you dial 10-10 Creature Art Teacher, the international code, then area code plus the number and then the last 4 digits of the street you grew up on. He's kidding, by the way. He's kidding.
Are you sure about that? Dustin, when are you going to put your wildlife photos onto the website? I'm really interested in seeing and buying them. They will be out 100% by the end of today.
We had some technical problems with the website last week. We meant to get them out last week and it didn't work out.
But they will definitely be out by the end of today. How do you decide the texture of fur you're going to use, such as like curly, rough, or straight? And do you have any tips on how to decide?
Well, for me, it's what kind of animal am I drawing, and that's going to dictate the type of fur that gets drawn. So do your research on as to what animal you're doing, and that will help you determine.
I actually think that'd be a fun project to do, because you know how you mix different animals together into one?
Yeah.
I think it would be a funny project to change the fur. So like a zebra would instead have like long hair.
All right.
Or a lion would have like super curly hair.
Uh-huh. That's a cool idea.
Do you like to draw backgrounds?
Yes. I do.
Yeah, he does.
I'm going to drop those ears way down. It gives them a little bit of a cuter look.
Do you have any plans on visiting Israel?
Not anytime soon, especially because of the travel restrictions. But someday, I'd love to go. I had quite a few friends that did some work over there, animation work. I'm just going to push this expression a little bit. There we go.
Good morning, Aaron and Dustin. Good morning. I was wondering, did you ever struggle
Why?
with... Huh?
Why?
Why? Why did you ever struggle with the same face syndrome? I've tried to sketch people at airports or on the street, but usually they end up looking almost the same.
Well, you got to really train your eye and draw what you see and not what you think. That's probably what's happening to you. A lot of people will end up drawing out of habit, and even though they're going through the motion of looking at something, they're really not looking at it, and they're drawing what they think rather than what they see. So really force yourself to get in there and draw what you see. Instagram question: do storyboard artists do visual development as well, or do they just focus on story? They sometimes do. It depends on the artist. Depends on the director if they like what that artist is doing. A lot of times, artists will wear different hats in the beginning, just out of sheer necessity, because the crew might be small at that point. And so, yeah, sometimes a storyboard artist will do that.
Aaron, I want to get into the animation industry, so my work doesn't need much rendering. Would the 22-inch Cintiq suffice, or
Yes.
should I go for the 24, which is like 100% more expensive?
No, 22 is great.
Have you seen the Willoughbys?
No, I haven't seen it yet. I saw a trailer or a sneak peek of the making of it when we were at CTN, which is an animation conference in California, but I haven't seen the finished product. YouTube question: why are your animals' eyes usually smaller compared to human eyes? Is that a design principle? No, this is just something I chose. I mean, I could give them bigger eyes if I wanted to, but that's just, when you look at a bear's eyes, their eyes are tiny. In this case, I actually enlarged his eyes. That snout's a little bit off. I might have to redraw that snout. I think I will. So, here we go. Got to redraw it. It's pointing down too much. I don't like it. I don't like it.
I don't like it. I look awful. Do you know Don Paul effects animator on Aladdin?
No. I know his name.
Do you have any tips for making different kinds of paws?
Yeah, look at the animal that you're drawing the paws of to get the anatomy. You got, I get a lot of questions like that. Do you have any tips? The tip is study it. That's the best tip I can give you.
Hi, Aaron. Some artist makes a square over the paper or canvas, and sometimes even in Photoshop. What is that good for? And do you do that?
I have no idea. Putting a square? Is that what they said?
Yeah, putting a square over the paper or canvas.
I have no idea what that means.
It might be a setup of a thumbnail. Maybe they're trying to set up a composition.
It could be. I don't know. I've never heard of that.
Is this a portrait of someone you know?
Yeah, it's a portrait of someone I know. It is, actually. I happen to know this bear.
Aaron, Dustin, have you guys been learning anything new with the lockdown?
Well, I was building a lot. So I've learned some new construction techniques. We built a new apartment for my guests and my father to stay in when he's here.
And I learned a few extra tool techniques from Adobe Lightroom, using extra effects in there, like the gradients and all that.
There, that's better. So I got something that's working a little better here.
Freaking
YouTube question. I recently bought the How to Draw Wolves, Coyotes, and Foxes in the Ultimate Brush Pack, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Thanks for everything you're doing. You are welcome. Sorry, Dustin, I cut you off there. What were you saying?
No, it's just talking about the different types of tools I was learning on Adobe Lightroom.
Oh, yeah. Which animal was the most difficult to draw for you for the first time? I would say elephants. Elephants were pretty difficult to get a handle on. I drew a lot of elephants when I was directing a movie called The Legend of Tembo, which because the company I was working for ended up going bankrupt, we never got a chance to finish the movie. But we drew a lot of elephants. And we're going to be doing an elephant course, by the way, too.
How much anatomy study do I need to do and know to master drawing quadrupeds?
Well, quadrupeds is a big, there's any animal walking on four legs is a quadruped. So it can be a cat or it can be an elephant. So they're all completely different. So it's going to be as much study as it takes. That's a lifetime of study. YouTube question. I bought all of your animation courses on your website, and I was wondering if you're planning on another animation course. If yes, what would be the subject? Yes, I do plan on doing one. And I want, I have a lot of questions from people about mechanics and walks and things like that. And I see in young people or young artists or beginning artists a tendency to get caught up in the mechanics and lose the character. And so I want to do a course on getting character, being specific to your character in walks. Walks are notoriously difficult to begin with, but then to add character to them, and it's a hard thing to do. And so I want to go over how I do that, and how I think about it, the way I approach it. It'll be a lot of fun. All right, so there's our rough drawing. I'm going to knock that back and we'll tie it down a little bit.
What is your favorite animal to draw?
Well, I love bears. I love big cats.
I have a question for Dustin. Do you have any tips on subject placement and lighting? Well, can't really say much about subject placement because I shoot a lot on the go. Like I don't really sit and wait. But
yeah, but when you're cropping your photos, you're thinking about placement.
Yeah.
You use a lot of the rule of thirds.
A lot of rule of thirds, and sometimes I do the rule of thirds horizontally, like one is either the subject's towards the left or towards the right. But sometimes I also do the rule of thirds in the middle, but either the top third or the bottom third, depending on if I want them to look up at the sky or if I want to show detail of the tree. And so there's something like that when it comes to cropping. But when you're talking about taking the actual shot, you can go out and find a spot that you want a certain species to come across, and you can wait to take the shot. So you can do something like that for that kind of placement, if that's what you're talking about.
No, I think they're talking about compositional placement.
Right.
Yeah.
And when it comes to lighting, I would say the golden hour is the best time for lighting, which is closer towards like just after sunrise and just before sunset, because you get a nice angle of light, and the light is not too harsh, and also gives off like a goldish tone, a very nice warm tone, which is really nice for photos. hope that answers the question. Excuse me, which is that $1?
What's that?
What is that one? What costs $1?
A human anatomy course. A human anatomy course is $1.
$1. Do bears really sit this way?
Yes. Yeah, bears are very, very much human-like in a lot of ways.
Do you enjoy the animation on modern TV shows like Adventure Time, Teen Titans? Have you ever done limited animation?
No, I don't enjoy it. I don't like limited animation. I've had to do it. I don't enjoy it. I like doing full animation. And no, I don't really enjoy that animation, to be honest with you. Now, there's stuff that I enjoy watching because the writing's fun. You know, like Rick and Morty.
Oh yeah.
You know, I think the writing is fun on that, but I think the animation is horrendous.
Your live tutorials are amazing. Are they recorded to be watched later? Yes.
Yes, you can watch them later. You know, on our YouTube channel, on Twitter. They come back on. They stay on.
Facebook and do we save them on Twitch too?
I don't know. I don't go on Twitch. Twitch question, speaking of. Good morning, Aaron and Dustin. Aaron, when you do shading and you have to go back over something, how do you control the tone so it doesn't get too dark or heavy when you go over an area that overlaps when you already shaded? I'm having trouble keeping my shading consistent as soon as I lift my stylus. Well, I usually keep my, if you're worried about like ghosting, things like that where it overlaps, try first of all, I use a textured brush and try pulling back on the opacity. But I usually make sure that whatever I'm shading with whatever tone, that's the value I want anyway, so I make sure I can get it down 100%.
Hey Aaron, question. I'm going to buy a new iPad mini. I love the size of the mini. And the new one supports the Apple Pencils of the first generation. Is it worth the extra $99?
I don't know, because I don't have a mini. I actually can't stand the size of a mini. It's too small for me. I like the big iPad Pro. So I don't know if it's worth, I mean, the pencil is great. Yeah, absolutely. It's awesome. And if you like that size, then I'd say go for it.
Do you like Richard Williams' animations always on ones?
Yes.
It looks very smooth but unnatural to me.
I love it. It's definitely has his own artistic style. Something doesn't have to be completely natural in order for it to be enjoyable, in my opinion. And so I really enjoy it. Life is on ones. Yes, we have that. We save them on Twitch. Nick says. Twitch question. People keep telling me to sketch instead of draw right away. I need to loosen up. Can you explain this? I always feel like I'm scribbling. My birthday is the 29th. Any suggestions for books to help with sketching? Yeah, sketching is not about drawing is not about scribbling. Sketching is about finding shape first. you know, you don't go right into the details. You're not going and chiseling out your drawing right away. Some people feel more comfortable doing that, and that's fine. But others need to take their time and sketch it out a little bit. This drawing right here, this is a sketch. That's my sketch. Now I'm drawing right there. So that's the difference. And you could argue that the drawing, because I try to keep a fresh, kind of non-tight feel to even my finished drawing. So you could argue that my finished drawing is still a sketch, and I would agree with you.
Do you have any courses on or anything on drawing snakes?
No. But we'll be doing something on reptiles soon.
That'd be a fun one.
Yeah.
Do you rather draw on paper or digital?
I like them both. I really do. I love paper, obviously. I like having something that's tangible that I can hold in my hands when I'm done. But I also love, you know, the ease of working digitally. So I really do like them both.
Hi, Aaron.
Hey, how's it going?
Firstly, wanted to say thank you so much for the discounted courses. I managed to purchase all I wanted but one, which I'm going to go back for soon. Well, here's the question. Aside from the obvious animation projects, have you ever collaborated with another artist on a single piece, passing the image back and forth until both artists call it finished? If not, who would you like to collaborate with?
Man, we did that before. I did a promotion with Wacom a while back, and the theme was family foibles, and this piece of art kind of went from artist to artist, and we all added our own little piece to it, and it was kind of cool. It was fun to do, but you know, I don't like collaborating like that, other than animation. You know, to me, working on my images is, you know, it's personal. It's part of me. I mean, sure, there'd be artists that'd be fun to collaborate with, but it's just not something I would seek out. But man, if I could go back in history and sit and learn from, you know, John Singer Sargent or Joaquin Sorolla and watch them paint and sit in their studio and not necessarily work together, but just watch them paint, that would be amazing for me. YouTube question: what do you do to keep your palm from sticking to the tablet? I don't sweat. I stay cool.
Cool, bro. Cool. Did you style your did your style change over time? And was your style this way when you were 20?
No, my style wasn't this way when I was 20. My style wasn't even this way when I was 40. So my style is always growing and evolving as I learn. There's always something new that affects my style. I see other artists, and that affects my style as I get influenced by what they're doing, and I want to try, and I put my own spin on it. And your style will do the same, and my style won't be this way in 10 years from now if I'm still alive doing this. It's always going to evolve. It's always going to change, and that's what it should do as you learn.
Is it important to include eyebrows on the brow ridge to accentuate the expression of animals? Or can it be done without the eyebrows?
I think it can be done with color separations, but I do think it helps because we're accustomed to seeing eyebrows as part of our, the way we read expression. And we think about someone when they don't have eyebrows, when they shave them off, and how strange that looks. That's because we're accustomed to seeing those eyebrows to help us gauge emotion in another person. It's gonna, those eyebrows are gonna tell you, oh, is that person mad at me? Is that person sad? Is that person happy? We get those cues from eyebrows, the position of the eyes and the mouth, obviously. And but those eyebrows are integral to understanding someone else's expression. So, that being said, when you're anthropomorphizing an animal to give them human emotions, giving them eyebrows or something that equates to an eyebrow helps with the emotion.
Do you practice reconstruction on a daily basis and constantly critique it in perspective and flow of motion?
I have no idea what you just asked me. Say that again?
Do you practice reconstruction on a daily basis and constantly critiquing the perspective and motion of flow or flow of motion?
I draw every day. I don't know what you're asking, person. I'm sorry.
Hi.
But yeah, I'm always, every image I'm trying to look at fluidity and flow and, everything. But that's just part of being an artist. Or representational artist, I should say. Facebook question: are you planning on making a shark marine mammals anatomy course? Yes, that is another one we plan on doing. We've just, these take, every animal drawing course I do takes about 6 to 8 weeks to create, which is about 2 months, and so they just take time to get out, and I will eventually get to them. In the meantime, I'm also creating other courses, and so, for me to get about 4 courses done a year is my goal, and it just takes time, because along with the animal drawing courses, like I said, we're doing, other animation courses and, painting light and that sort of thing. Which, by the way, that's the theme of today's image, is painting light. We're going to have some fun with that once we get all this local color painted in. We're going to have some fun with light and shadow. Oh, the other thing I want to mention, my girlfriend Vedanta is up, and she, a couple of weeks ago, she bought these chips, these super spicy chips that claim to be the hottest chips in the world. We bought them, she bought them. She bought 3 chips, one for Dustin, one for me, one for her. Dustin is not going to do it. He decided he's not going to do this. But we're going to eat these chips. They actually come in their own box. It's 1 chip in a box with a big warning, skull and crossbones.
Yeah, that's why I'm no.
And so I don't know if we're going to do it this Friday or we're going to do it next week. But we're going to eat the chip. I'm going to see if I can get that chip down, then I'm going to try to draw. I just thought it would be fun, stupid, funny. And I like to eat. And I like food challenges. I'll eat anything. Except, crazy, like, organ. I just won't do that kind of stuff. That's cruel, horrible stuff. But I will eat a lot of different things. And so we thought it would be interesting to have this hottest chip on the planet challenge.
And someone else is asking, could you do a live painting in style of Bob Ross?
No. Nope. I love Bob Ross, but I don't like his paintings. But what I loved about Bob Ross was the way he brought art to the masses. And I loved his spirit.
I think it should I think it'd be a fun idea is have everything set up like a Bob Ross set, and you dress up like Bob Ross, but you paint your way.
Or how about I dress like Aaron Blaise, and I draw like Aaron Blaise. I know what you mean. Be cool.
People want you dress up like Bob Ross, it would be the funniest thing ever.
Probably not the funniest thing ever, but it would be funny.
At least to me it would be. Do you ever speak at Cal Arts?
No. I've never spoken at Cal Arts.
Kendra. OMG, I can barely believe how cute that bear is.
YouTube question. If you recall that in a recent video you said you started drawing with ducks and birds. Do you still have the same interest and joy in drawing them? Yeah. I mean, my interest has grown. Actually, it's grown beyond just ducks and birds. It's grown to, drawing the world. I want to draw everything. So that's what it's grown to.
Good morning. Watching from YouTube. I got a question. What is Dustin named after?
I just like I had a cousin named Dustin. I've always liked the name. That's as simple as it got. That's how it happened. My wife and I like the name Dustin.
How do you choose your base color?
I just in my head I think about the average color that the animal or object is going to be, and then I just go from there. So I'm thinking about the average color. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze.
No.
Go for it.
Bless you.
Woo! Wow!
Bless you. Holy.
That was a big one.
Need a tissue?
Is that a nasty one?
No, it was good. I'm back. I sneezed into my elbow. Almost knocked me out of my chair.
Hey.
Oh. Hey, Vedanta's here.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, did you guys mention Friday?
Yes, there's the chip.
It's in
So
a
there-
coffin.
There's the chip right there. It says, "Warning." And this is the one chip challenge. Fear the Carolina Reaper. Eat at your own risk, not for the faint of heart. Not everyone will enjoy the extreme heat. After this, hell should be easy. 20 calories in one chip. That's all there is, one chip. So that's what we're going to try
One
eating.
for you and one for me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, bye, world.
Yeah.
Bye, sweet world.
You sounded like an elephant to sneeze.
I don't know how people hold back their sneezes. That just blows my mind, literally.
I remember when I was little, after watching so many cartoons, I always thought that holding your finger up against your nose like they do in the cartoons
would really work.
would really work. I've tried that a few times. No, it makes it worse. But
Twitch question. Oh, Proco already did the Bob Ross thing. Yeah, he did.
Oh yeah.
Twitch question. Were there any other careers you considered with animals? I'm torn between my art and a career working with animals, considering vet school as well. I'm turning 12, so I have time, but I don't want to give up art, but I also want to really work with animals too. Any suggestions? Well, you can mix the two. I'm an animal artist. And it's funny you mentioned that, because when I was 12, I actually worked in a vet's office because I really wanted to be a vet as well. And but I had, working as a vet, opened my eyes to a lot of things I didn't want to do, and putting animals to sleep and things like that. Just really, I had a hard time with that, and so I decided I didn't want to be a vet, and I went on to do other things instead.
What's the tablet you're using?
Well, this is a Wacom Cintiq 32 Pro. This is the biggest Cintiq that they make, and for me, as a professional artist, I'm a big believer in getting the best equipment you can if you can afford it. And so this is the best, as far as I'm concerned, this is the best tablet on the market, in my opinion. And there's a lot of know-it-alls out there that are going to tell you, no, this and this is better, and maybe it is for them. But this is the best for me. There are other tablets out there, the Huon and all that. They're cheaper, but I don't find them as good.
Who's accompanying you in these live streams?
Dustin Blaise.
Hi. How's it going?
Dustin is my son. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just laying in local color. I'm just laying in the color of his fur. And I lay a base in first, and then I start altering some of the, as you go down to the extremities on grizzly bears, the fur gets darker down around their legs and whatnot.
And whatnot. Have you been refused by an animation company?
Refused?
Refused.
I don't know what that means. Have I been refused by an animation company? I don't know what you mean. Have you
have you been have you tried to apply for an animation company but they said no?
Oh, no. No, I never really I started with Disney when I was 19 years old, 20 years old. I got an internship with them. And then I was hired, and I was with Disney from the time I was 20 years old till I was 42 years old. So I was there for a long time, and then by the time I was 42, I had a reputation in the industry and was pretty well established. And so when I went to my next job, I went in as a director. So I was lucky enough that I've never really had to apply all over the place because I just stayed with one job for 22 years.
Hey Aaron, do you alpha lock your base color?
Sometimes I do, that's what I'm doing right now. That way I don't have to paint outside the lines.
If the lighting has color, will it automatically affect local color?
Yes.
If the bear was lighted with blue light, the local color would be blue, right?
Yes, or have a blue tint to it. Yes.
Do you have any tips for storing traditional artwork? My house is becoming overrun by my art.
Well, keep it out of the light, because depending on what your medium is, it will fade over time. That's the biggest thing. Keep it in a cool, dry, dark place. That's the best thing. That's the best way to store your art. So I'm just creating a little bit of texture through color right here. We'll do even more in a little bit.
Can you recommend a good sequence of courses for a beginner looking to learn how to draw animals from you? What is a good starter course, and what are some good follow-up courses?
Well, any of my how to draw animal courses are good to start with. So just look at my how to draw animals courses that are available right now, and start with those. Start with any of them. They're all basically, on the same footing. Horses have been really popular, and big cats have been really popular. Bears, wolves, all of them are pretty popular. Have you ever been lucky enough to see red wolves in person? I've been writing about them for school, and they are so rare. No, I haven't. I've never been able to see a red wolf. I've always wanted to, but never had the pleasure. The pleasure.
The pleasure. And what is the brush that you're currently using?
This is my, excuse me, pastel C brush. This is a brush that's available on my website in my original custom brush set. And you can get the entire set for $1 right now. Will spray fixative keep art from fading? It won't keep it from fading, it will keep it from smudging. But it will not keep it from fading. The only thing that will keep art from fading is keeping it out of ultraviolet light. There we go. Let's get some green in here. I'm just going to get a base color of green.
Do you use the shortcut key remote by Wacom?
A shortcut key remote. I don't know what that is.
It's
the
device that
remote?
sticks onto the side, yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't use that. I just do everything from keyboard, on my keyboard. I don't even know if this has one. I don't think it comes with one, the big one. The Pro.
The Pro?
That Pro.
That Pro.
That Pro, man. So we're just getting this base green. I'm going to get a lot of variation in the greens as we move forward. There she blows. And as the grass recedes, I'm going to cool it down so to push it into the background, darken it a little bit, tone it down a little bit, get him to pop off the page there. This is all just very rough, just laying it in, not worrying about making it really pretty yet. Let me blow that up a little bit for you so you can see it a little better. There we go. There. All right, let's start adding some light and shadow. So I want to establish this shadow pattern like he's sitting in the shadow of a tree. So I'm going to put a layer on top and set it to multiply. And I'm going to keep the shadow cool and gray. And you're going to see, because I've made it cool, which is a blue, going over his kind of orange-brown fur, it's going to look very gray, almost kind of colorless when we put it in. But then I'm going to go back in later and we're going to add some color to the shadow. This is purely to establish a shadow pattern on our character. That's what we're doing right now. Already I don't like it. I'm keeping it too close to his collar. I want it to go across his chest.
How often do you live stream like this?
We live stream twice a week. Every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And then every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time.
Have you ever done any voice acting?
I've done scratch recording which is temporary recording for our characters in our movies. But no, I've never done any professional.
Same here. Were you hesitant to switch to digital art at first, or did you embrace it immediately?
No, I was hesitant. I was scared of it. I avoided it for a long time. I was always intrigued by it, but was scared of it. The technology scared me. I was never a technologically savvy kind of guy, and so I was just comfortable with my paints and my pencils and that sort of thing, and was really afraid of the technology. Didn't think that I could figure it out, and eventually I was kind of forced. I had to do it. I was directing a CG film, a computer animated film. I was directing that, and I needed to kind of catch up with everybody and learn how to do it. And so I got a Cintiq, and I had a friend of mine that was an art director, and he was a Photoshop expert, and I just had him start teaching me, and really within a day that I lost all that fear. YouTube question. You always seem to set to multiply when you go in to add light. Can you explain why? Well, I always do. I try to do everything the same way. I have a method to the way I do my art. It's part of my style. It's part of the look. And by doing it the same way every time, I'm also able to speed up my process. Because I'm not having to figure it out every time. I'm not having to reinvent the wheel every time. I've done it, I do it the same way, and therefore I follow the same pattern each time. By doing multiply, it adds darks but creates a shadow look to it that I like, and it's just a base. It's just a place to start.
The majority of my family do not believe that I will ever become a successful artist. They laugh. Was your family supportive of your career choices?
Yes, they were very supportive, and I feel sorry for you that you have a jerky family like that. That's going to that laughs at you. I think that's horrible. And I was lucky enough to have a very supportive family that actually took art seriously and saw it as a viable job choice. And because of that, they helped me get to where I needed to be.
Was it hard to learn how to set up all the technology to make your current career possible?
Well, my current career, no, it wasn't, because I already had a career to begin with. In my early days, we didn't have to worry about all the technology and all that kind of stuff. So, in the early days, we did all of our animation on paper, and it was very low tech, really. And it didn't become high tech until we hit the mid 90s. We started adding computer graphics, to our. Remember in The Lion King, when the wildebeest stampede came in, all those wildebeest were computer animated. That was the first time we'd ever done anything like that. We had used computer animation before, but not to that degree. So you can see I'm adding some shadows, adding light. I'm really just establishing the shadow patterns. That's the first thing. I'm not really worried about temperature or color because you can see the shadows right now are pretty gray and lifeless. We're going to add some color and appeal to them in a little bit. One of the things I want to do is start establishing. I'm going to take my eraser now and just erase out some of the areas that I think some light is coming through on. You know, it's dappled light. This is light kind of coming through the branches. Twitch comment. My mother recently found a whole folder full of paintings she did of Rajah 25 or so years ago. She painted my entire bedroom wall to wall Disney. Funny that now my own kid found you doing live streams all these years later. That's cool.
That's awesome.
I love that. Oh, I want to announce also my brother Travis, who's also an animator. He's going to be doing a course for us on Calipeg, which is a new animation software. It's new animation software coming out for iPad, and it's very, very cool. It's very affordable. I think it's only like $9, and it's really robust. You can do some great animation with it right on your iPad. And so we're filming for it. Matter of fact, we're filming for it today. Today. After we are done here, and so look for that in the next few weeks. It's going to be really cool.
As for latecomer, which books do you recommend if I want to be an animator?
Well, there's books like The Illusion of Life, which is one of my favorites, and Richard Williams' Animation Survival Kit, booklet, pamphlet, whatever you want to call it. Those are probably the best ones, I think. So now you can see we've added some shadow in here, a little dappled light. And now I'm going to go in over the top, and I'm going to set it to overlay, and we're going to add some brighter light. And so I'm going to change the temperature of that light. I want it warm. You know, the shadows are cool, but now I'm going to go warm. And we're going to do the same thing, but now I'm painting in the light areas.
If you ever encountered a grown bear in an isolated hike, do you think it would be hard to hold your ground and make yourself big and loud?
I have, actually, and I've never had to make myself big and loud. I just stood still, stood my ground, and I didn't advance. And we stared at each other, and I just stood there and made myself not a threat, because the bears, they don't want to charge. And eventually the bear decided to go the other way. So once again, this is just establishing a little bit more highlights. I might even go in with some of my fur brushes in a little bit just to add some texture underneath all of this.
And the software that you're currently using is Adobe Photoshop.
Correct.
And it's on the Wacom Cintiq 32 Pro.
Have you cut to the overhead camera?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Adobe Photoshop.
Yeah, sure.
And it's a monthly subscription.
Yeah.
And you can
get it for like $10 a month.
$10 a month for a single lap, I think, or is it 2?
I think it includes Lightroom. It might be a little bit more than that now. I can't remember.
And then the full, what is it for the full package? Like you get all the Adobe.
All the
apps?
Adobe, yeah, it's $60 a month, I believe.
60 a month.
So it's not cheap, but you get a lot out of it. That's the prescription. That's the subscription that I use.
It's your monthly dosage of Adobe.
Yes. So you can see I'm creating a little bit brighter light. And then I can come in here. I'm going to do the same thing. Create this grass. These grass patterns.
Can the brushes that you're using be made?
Yes,
To
they can
work
work
on
in Procreate.
Sorry,
Yes, you can buy them for Procreate. They do work.
my brain was lagging there for a minute. Did you use luminosity to draw highlights?
No. Right now I'm just using multiply and overlay. And then when I do highlights, I just do that with a normal paint layer. Right now I'm just painting some textures in with my overlay blend mode. Go. This is just going to be a sweet little illustration is what I want it to be.
I got confirmation from Adobe. The photography package on Adobe includes Photoshop and Lightroom.
Right.
Thank you.
That was from Adobe itself?
No, that was from one of the viewers by the name of Bogdan Ganev. So thank you, Bogdan. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. But yeah, that deal is on Adobe. What's overlay blend mode?
You can see I'm using it right now. What it does is it takes the color, a warm bright color, and it overlays with the colors underneath and brightens them up. So I'm just very spontaneously going in and painting in grass texture. Grass. How about smash?
How about your mash brain?
Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Planet of the Apes. Paul Giamatti.
Which one you kids want your mash brain? Are your brushes compatible with Autodesk Sketchbook Pro?
That I don't know. I don't think so. But Nick might know more on that. I have no idea. I don't think so. There, so now we're getting some nice grass texture in there.
Where would we be able to purchase your brushes?
My website is creatureartteacher.com.
CreatureArtTeacher.com.
Can you pull that up, Dustin?
Yes.
So they can see it? CreatureArtTeacher.com is my website.
Now, unfortunately, on Instagram, can't really see the full title, so I'll just add that into that chat there real quick.
We're going to have some trees in the background that I'm going to push in here. Little things like so. Let me take this and this. I'm going to try, I think I'm going to blow them up a little bit. I want him to take up a little more space. That feels better.
Hey, you wouldn't happen to have any tissues over there, would you?
Tissues? No tissues.
Oh, crap.
No tissues. Sorry, man. So now I've got a rough idea of his light and dark. One of the things I didn't do, I want to do, is I want to go a little bit darker behind his head to get that head to pop. So I want to create contrast back there. Oops. So I'm going to go behind his head. I'm going to set that to multiply. And just create a little bit of dark back there. Coda Bear 1026 on Twitch asks, Aaron, laptop with a Wacom or newest iPad? I would say newest iPad because, and I love Wacom. Don't get me wrong. I'll promote them as much as I can, just because I love them so much. But you're really inhibiting yourself, having to carry around a full tablet and laptop when all you need is an iPad. Now Wacom does have an all-in-one option, but it's not Apple based like the iPad. There we go. So I'm going to go a little lighter on that. There. All right. So now what I want to do is I want to start adding, and I'm going to put in. Where am I going to put it? Right here. So I'm going to go in and cover this up, that knee, and go into here and get rid of that highlight. Because, specifically, I want a butterfly coming through. Put it right here.
Are you going to add in the tree to show what is shadowing him?
Well, that's the cool thing, is that you don't have to do that because of the shadow. You already know there's a tree there. I might add some trees in the background, but the tree is implied. Hold on one second. Sorry, I'm trying to get an image here. Flying. Do flying. There we go. I like that image. Very nice.
Is there a channel where you offer feedback to students like Schoolism?
Nope. Not right now. We don't have the ability to do that right now. We're not. We do eventually want to set something up where we can do that. We're just not able to right now. Sorry, I'm trying to get to this image that I just did a screenshot of. There. Monarch butterfly. There it is. I want it to go the other way. I'm going to use that as reference. Just a little bit of reference. That's what he's going to be looking at right there. So, just going to draw that in real quick.
I'm a student looking for a new iPad. Do you recommend an iPad Air or an iPad Pro?
I recommend an iPad Pro. So I want to be, the reason I created this shadow area is because I want this butterfly to be bright. in an otherwise dark area, so it'll stand out. The eye will go right to it. Make sure I'm on the right. Yeah. Nothing worse than drawing on the wrong layer,
Mm.
eh?
Mm.
And right now, I'm just doing a quick indication.
Hi, Aaron.
Hey, how's it going, eh?
How's it going? Do you like to do clean line art in your illustrations, or you just let the sketch line blend in the painting? Thanks.
I like to have the sketch line blend in, and it takes a little bit of time, but let me do this. There we go. I like my illustrations to be a little bit painterly, not super tight.
By the way, real quick, did you save your file?
No, not yet. Don't have to. This automatically saves. If I lose it, it recovers it.
Just watch this. The backup save ends up failing.
Yeah.
There are times when the shadow extends from the object like a see-through curtain. How come you never do that? Or when are you supposed to do that?
I'm not sure I understand the question. The see-through curtain.
When the shadow extends through the object, like I think, like a lesser shadow through a transparent object, maybe.
I have no clue. I don't know. I'd have to see, because I might do it occasionally. I'm not sure.
Like, you know how when a light goes through a wall is just harsh shadow, but when it goes through a curtain, it's not an entire shadow. There's still light in that shadow.
Yeah, I do stuff like that.
I think that's what the person's talking about.
That's what you think.
It's the closest thing. Hey, are you guys in America still in lockdown?
Somewhat.
Somewhat.
I don't. Everyone else is protesting and everything else, wanting to get out, and I think it's too soon. I don't need to go out anywhere, so I just stay home.
You mentioned a course takes 6 to 8 weeks to create. Can you give a rough breakdown on how the time is divided?
It's all divided into shooting, really, and we can only do it as fast as I can draw and spew out information, and Dustin can edit. So that's really what it comes down to. And then, in some of these, I'm not an expert going into it. When it comes to animal drawing, there's a lot of animals that I don't know how to draw. And so I go in and I educate myself. I'll spend weeks understanding the anatomy and getting to know it all, and then I'm able to teach it.
Do you ever use pure black and white, or should we avoid it? Thank you.
Every once in a while, I'll use pure white. I never really use pure black for anything. I try to put some kind of color in there. So there's our butterfly. Bingo, right there. Maybe I'll make him a little bigger.
Where are you guys in Florida?
DeLand, Florida.
D-Land.
DeLand. It's near the sea.
Nice. Yeah, we're north of Orlando?
Yes. Maybe make him a little bit in the foreground, going through the light.
Your stand for your Cintiq looks great. Did you make
Thanks.
that yourself?
I did. Thank you. I did make it myself.
Erica Bay is asking, in your opinion, do you think CTN will happen this year?
I don't think it will. I don't think it will. I hope it does,
About the rate we're going.
but I have a feeling it's not going to happen. If it does, we will definitely be there.
In the movie Hercules, Hades' fire hair has a shadow. That confuses the heck out of me.
It does me too.
Isn't it possible for fire to have a shadow, right?
Yes,
I mean,
it
it's
is.
a light source.
Exactly. A light source cannot have a shadow. Good call. Good eye. Good eye on you there.
Good on, mate.
All right, so let's get in here. I want to get back into the bear. A YouTube question. Hi, does Dustin have any siblings? Yes, he has a sister. I have 2 kids.
I have an older sister. She's older by 14 months.
14 months older. So I'm adding a little bit of light within the shadow. Some cooler colors. I'm drawing over the drawing layer now.
Is there a way to add imported paintings 2 layers in Photoshop?
Yeah. You mean just in like any kind of JPEG, you can do that. Yeah. Whoops. Oh, there's that bug. And you notice we just went how long without that bug happening?
A question to the producers. How do you guys multi-stream? We're using a software called Restream, in which we have a stream key inserted into OBS for that.
Oh, BS.
OBS. And so that way, when we stream, it goes to Restream, in which from there it spreads out the stream to multiple platforms at once.
So what I'm doing right now is I'm going in and I want to add some cool color to the... Actually, I'm going to go a little greener with it.
Did you use a reference to draw the bear?
Yes. I don't normally have to, but this one I was just going through some of my photos and I like this. I changed it quite a bit. But yes, I did. Here, I'll show you. Here is the bear.
The bar.
There he is. That's the reference.
The referral. You got a referral.
At this point, I'm pretty much just doing it on my own. So all that green grass is actually reflecting back some green tinted light. So I'm trying to get that in the fur. I might be going a little heavy with it, so I'm going to back off just a little bit. Whoops.
recently watched Convoy again.
Convoy?
Convoy. Question. Do you guys in Florida refer to law enforcement officers as bears?
We did back in the 70s.
That right there's a bear.
Looks like we got ourselves a convoy.
I don't remember the lyrics anymore, but I remember singing that song
Oh, yeah.
so many
Chris
times.
Christopherson was in that movie.
Who was it again?
Chris Christopherson.
I don't remember who that is.
Well, he wrote Bobby McGee,
Ah,
Janis Joplin sings.
yeah.
He wrote that song.
Ah.
You'd know if you saw him. He's in the Blade movies. The old guy with the beard.
Oh, that's him.
Yeah, that's Chris Christopherson.
Ah.
The Rhodes Scholar.
No.
YouTube comment. Morning. You can see wild red wolves at the Alligator River National Wildlife Refuge in North Carolina. I've been several times on photo reference trips. Great photo ops for you, Dustin. Blessings. Thank you.
Awesome.
That is cool.
So, are you an artist family? If so, all animators?
No.
Well, we are an artist family in a
Yes, but
in a
not
sense.
animators.
Not animators, no.
But yes, the kids are artists in what they do. Dustin with his photography, and my daughter does some really beautiful stained glass.
What were your what was your favorite thing about your experience working on The Lion King?
I really learned a lot about cats, big cats, and how to animate them. And that I loved, and I got really adept at animating quadrupeds, doing four-legged walks. That really helped me a lot.
What are your thoughts on Tiger King?
I think it's trash TV.
It is a dumpster fire.
It is. It represents the worst of us all. Don't bother watching it.
What is your favorite character design from a Disney movie? My favorite is Shere Khan.
Oh man. The Beast. Shere Khan is great. Man, now that bug is just popping up all over the place now. Didn't happen at all when we were working. When I was starting this. Who else?
I would say one of mine has to be John Silver from Treasure Planet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because of the mixture of the 2D animation and the CG animation for the cybernetic parts.
Yeah.
I always thought that was a
Pretty
cool idea the way
genius.
they implemented that.
Yeah.
Because that was like one of the first where they went that extreme with CG mixing it with 2D.
Yeah. So, any of the planes on the bear that are facing up, I'm trying to get a little cooler light, like it's reflecting back sky.
Have you worked on a movie called Spirit?
No, that was a DreamWorks film. I have a lot of good friends that worked on it, though. James Baxter who I think is one of the best animators in the world, was a lead on that. He really did some beautiful work.
Yeah, I haven't watched that movie in forever, but I loved it.
Yeah, it's a great film. Twitch question: while you're at Disney, were there any movies in the works that didn't happen that you wish had? Yeah, I mean, there's one that I was working on, that I was directing, that never got made, called The King of the Elves. And I think if it would have got made, it would have been a huge hit, but we just had, the cards were stacked against us, and we weren't able to get it done. So here I'm just going in and cooling some of these shadows off in certain areas. Making them cool. Picking up a little bit of light from the sky. What I'm trying to do. Just adding a little bit of a cool tint.
Are you more confident with technology now compared to when you were first introduced to it?
Oh yeah, way more confident. Way more comfortable. A lot of that comes from working with Nick. Nick has really kind of helped me along the way and taught me a lot.
What's your favorite Disney movie?
Well, my favorite animated Disney film is Bambi. But favorite Disney movie, there's some good ones out there. Yes, obviously, there are some good ones out there. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. It's a. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm trying to play complementary colors. So I'm doing this overlay. I'm not overlay, but I'm doing this blue tint to the shadows opposite the warm orange of the light areas, and playing those against each other.
And to the newcomers that recently hopped in that are asking, this is Adobe Photoshop, and this is on the Wacom Cintiq 32-inch Pro.
Exactly.
Using Adobe Photoshop. And this is the latest Photoshop version?
Yes. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and deepen some of these shadows. Nick asks, Aaron, I know you use elephant skin for creating creature textures. Do you ever use alligators for that? Yes, I actually have before. So I'm just going in and kind of deepening some of these shadow areas that need to be darker.
Will you be doing any painter demos anytime soon?
Probably not anytime soon. I don't use Painter a lot.
What layer are you drawing the reflected light on, please?
Its own layer. I'm doing it on its own layer. Right now, this is a, as I'm drawing in this texture, this is a multiply layer on top, just to deepen some of the shadows.
What is your favorite CG animated movie?
My favorite CG animated movie. Up is a big one for me. I love Up. Um, that's a good question too. What's yours, Dustin? What's yours, Dustin?
I'll say. I was thinking.
Oh.
It's between Zootopia and Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh, Zootopia is great.
Yeah. But I'm also thinking. Ready Player One has a lot of CG in that. Would that be considered? Is that like more like a hybrid between live action and
No,
CG?
it's pretty much. I don't know because it's. I don't know how much keyframe animation was in there. I guess there's a fair amount.
So I love the animation and I love the details in that movie for all the CG animated scenes.
Yeah. So now you can see the textures are starting to come through. And I've got this nice cool tint in the shadows. Really helping that illusion of light and dark.
Dustin, what is your favorite cheesy commercial, and can you voice it the best you can?
That's an interesting question.
Well, the best voice I can do, which I love to make fun of, is the EA Sports guy. It was EA Sports. It's in the game. But I mix it in like different lines instead of it's in the game because it's EA, and they've been building a bad rep the past few years.
Oh, have they?
Yeah. Well, do you like Ratatouille?
Oh yeah, I like Ratatouille. I don't know that it's one of my favorites, but I like Ratatouille a lot. Zootopia I loved. I just thought it was great. It's great.
What are your thoughts on the VFX Disney remakes? Like Lion King and...
As long as they have something new to say, then yeah, that's great. Unfortunately, some of them didn't really have much new to say, and so I think they weren't as great as they could have been. But I think overall, I think it's for a new generation. I think it's cool that you can reinterpret them for a new generation. It's funny, a lot of the people that grew up with the originals don't like the remakes, and the kids that really didn't know much about the originals like the remakes. So it's really about perspective. Was it a smart business decision? I think it definitely was. Heck yeah.
What was your favorite book when you were a kid?
When Legends Die.
When Legends Die.
Yeah, it was a book about a Native American around 1912, and just what he goes through on the reservation and all the different things. And I read it when I was, how old was I? Probably in 5th grade, and reread it and reread it. I love that book. It made such an impact on me. And I think that, I mean, it was such an impact. It those types of stories stuck with me, and that was the inspiration for me when I started doing Brother Bear.
Have you ever got critiques for drawing animals more often than humans?
Critiques? You mean criticized?
No, maybe.
Oh, no. No. I just like drawing animals more than humans.
What was it like meeting a baby tiger?
Awesome. Completely awesome.
Who's the author of the book you were just talking about?
I can't remember. I was trying to think of it. Shoot, I can't remember.
What brush tools do you use for fur and elephant skin?
Well, I've got elephant skin brushes actually that I created. But I do have fur brushes. Right now, I'm just drawing the fur. You know, it just depends on the look that you want.
And to the newcomers, what's the brush that you're currently using?
This is a brush that I made a couple of years ago that I use all the time for drawing and painting, and it's a very versatile brush I use for everything. You can get it in my original custom brush pack that I did a few years ago. It's brush number 7. It's called Pastel C. Or you can sign up for our newsletter and you can get just the brush itself. But if I were you, I would actually just get the set, because the set's only $1. And you get all the brushes in it.
Have you ever worked with Ronnie Del Carmen?
No, I don't know who that is. So we're slowly getting there, getting some nice color happening.
Did Disney ever consider making Disney princesses out of the old Thumbelina and Princess and the Pea stories?
Not that I know of, but I don't know.
Have you ever talked with one of the 9 old men?
Yes. I met them when I first started at Disney years ago. I had lunch with Ollie Johnston right before he died. Ollie Johnston. Right before he passed away.
Have you ever drawn hybrids of the animals you love the most?
Yes. I've got lots of those types of drawings. Last week we did a gorilla rhino bat.
Gorilla bat rhino.
Gorilla bat rhino.
Do the newsletter brushes work on Procreate?
Yes.
Which character that you designed are you most fond of?
Nick says if you love that book, you need to read A Land Remembered. You'll love it. Oh, that's cool. Sorry, Dustin, what did you say?
Which character that you designed are you most fond of?
Probably Nala. I just have her the most developed in my head. I love Rajah. I'd love to go back and redo Rajah. There's aspects of Rajah that I'm not happy with anymore. I was a young designer then. I think I did much better with Nala. And she was fun to animate. And she had more personality to me.
Do you know Paul Felix?
Yes.
Did he work on Brother Bear?
Yes. Yeah. Paul did some beautiful development art for us. Paul's an amazing artist. Really cool dude.
Do we consider ourselves forest, beach, jungle, or desert people?
I'm probably forest or beach.
I would say forest.
For you?
For me. Forest with an occasional beach. What kind of changes would you make to Rajah?
Just some anatomy changes. just a little bit better anatomy but still within the design.
Did you design Cave of Wonders? It resembles Rajah, I think.
Yeah, I know. No, but I didn't design it.
The diamond in the rough.
Very good. That was a good one.
Why did Disney cut off traditional animation?
Well, they felt like not not a lot of people. The crowds were starting to thin out for the CG or for the hand drawn animated films. And my theory there is that the movies just weren't good enough, and the formula was getting old. We're just doing these same musicals over and over again, and then the CG films were making more money. And so rather than risk, the films cost, almost 200 million at the time to make. Rather than risking that much money, they decided to put their money in something that was more of a sure thing, which is CG. So that's what happened.
Do you have any animated series that you personally love?
Series?
Animated series.
No, not really. I was never into, other than Saturday morning cartoons, I was never really into animated series. I think I liked The Simpsons when they first came out, but now it's just old now.
Yeah. It's kind of the same deal with South Park.
Yeah, I'm over South Park.
We used to watch South Park quite a bit back then.
Yeah.
Would you consider drawing Rajah with your improvements soon?
No, I that's not something I really. Oops. Oh. I mean, I might do it. Actually, that's not a bad idea. I take that back. It's actually kind of a cool idea. How would I redesign Rajah? I might do that actually.
Maybe do that for Aladdin anniversary when that comes up.
Yeah, maybe. It's a cool idea.
That's a cool idea right there. Did you like Kim Possible? It's a fun show. Kim Possible is a Disney animated show on Cartoon Disney.
Oh, I've never watched it.
Yeah, I never really watched a whole lot of it, just a few episodes, but the ones I did watch, I did like the animation on it, nice action sequences.
So for those of you that are interested, today's theme is painting light, and I'm trying very hard to show you how what I think about when I go in and I'm painting light. And right now my painting light course is 50% off, and that's going to end pretty soon. So if you're interested in learning more about painting light, then go check that out. It's a pretty good deal. So now I want to get into the shadow of the grass.
How Glenn Keane gave you such important scenes in Beauty and the Beast, how much be really helpful and generous man? Or he must be really helpful and generous man.
He's an incredibly generous, incredibly helpful, incredibly wonderful human being. I can't say enough great things about Glenn Keane and the advantages that he gave to me and the way that he helped me in my career. I wouldn't be who I am as an artist without the help of Glenn Keane. I just can't say enough good. Every once in a while we come across these mentors, these teachers that help us along the way and steer us in a direction that we never would have done otherwise. And Glenn Keane is one of those people for me.
The Last Airbender? I did like the series Avatar, but not the live action movie, The Last Airbender.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Um,
That's not M. Night Shyamalan one? The live
Yeah.
action?
it was originally a.
I don't know. I don't
anima-
know. Yeah, I don't know the animated one, but the movie was horrible.
Yeah, the animated show is so far better than the live action. The live action ruined it.
Well, don't be too mean.
There are people out there that have been far worse.
So I'm just going in and painting in kind of negative areas, dark. We're going to create some patterns in the grass over the tops of this. I just want to create some darker shadow patterns. And basically, we're building up these patterns in the grass.
When will these discounts? When will these discounts end?
When will they end?
Yes.
We don't know. Right now, people need them. They might not end for a long time, but it all depends on how everyone does, getting back to work, all that kind of stuff.
Is Buena Vista still affiliated with Disney?
Buena Vista is Disney. Buena Vista is Disney.
Oh, check. Have you seen Klaus, and what do you think of it?
Klaus is my favorite animated film, and probably the most beautiful animated film to be done since Sleeping Beauty.
Agreed.
I think Klaus is a huge achievement, especially in a world where no one's, quote, doing 2D animation anymore. And Sergio Pablos, who directed it, should I don't know, he's a hero in my mind for doing what he's done. And he's really put 2D back on the map. It should have gotten the Oscar. There we go. So you can see it's kind of sloppy, but as we go in and draw over the top, it's going to get it'll blend in. We'll get some cool stuff. So what I want to do in this grass, I'm going to put a layer on top of this, on top of it, on top of everything, actually, not on top of the butterfly. Lyndon worked on Kim Possible. Oh, Lyndon, our story artist, there we go. Our story instructor on our story course worked on Kim Possible. So here, I'm drawing grass that's reflecting the light back of the sky.
Oh yeah, Spider-Verse was another amazing animated
It was.
feature.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that one, Sophie.
Yeah, because it really changed up the look of what animation can be. And that I love.
And I liked how they maintained the cinematic style of a comic book. Of like the way they did all
Yeah.
the coloring and everything.
Exactly. YouTube comment. My teacher and mentor was Harold Sieperman. Ah, I knew him very well. You guys worked on the same movies. Well, Harold and I were friends. And he did some beautiful work on bear designs and Brother Bear. And human designs as well. I was very sad when he passed. He was an amazing, wonderful, wonderful artist. So I'm adding some cool blades of grass, reflecting back, blue, the blue cool of the sky. and going over the tops of these dark areas that we've put in.
I'm only 13 and I want to be an animator at Disney. Do you have any tips for me?
Well, you got to learn how to draw. You really want to, whoops, draw. Put your heart and soul into drawing, and animate too. There's no reason. There's great books out there. There's great tutorials on YouTube and all of that, and try to animate. See what you can do. Learn about character. Learn about cinematography. Learn about acting. These are all aspects of what an animator does and thinks about. Especially acting. That's another big one. If you can get that under your belt, you'll have a big head start. It's wonderful. Remember, you can do anything. You can do anything you put your mind to. There's no one to stop you. No one can tell you not that you can't do it except for you. There. So our bear is slowly evolving out of this.
What are your tips for drawing fur? Tips for drawing fur.
I've been drawing fur for the last 2 hours. Giving tips. You got to start with the broad and work your way towards the detail. So that's what I'm doing now. You don't have to draw every hair. Matter of fact, I am going to change it up right now and go back to finishing up the face.
But do you have any tips for drawing fur? Which do you prefer?
I'll kill you.
I kill you. Silence. I kill you.
I think it's a preference question, but do you prefer to draw silverback gorillas, grizzlies, or polar bears?
I love them all. That's a very specific question. And very funny to me.
How do you pick your colors?
I think in terms of warm, cool, and then value. Value is light and dark.
What do you think about Japanese animation, otherwise known as anime?
I think there's good and I think there's bad.
Cowboy Bebop, Lapse. Can Aaron explain Disney's cap system for coloring the films of the 90s? Is it similar to Photoshop?
I don't know if it was similar, but it was basically it was a system where the drawings were digitized, not unlike what we do nowadays. Digitized, and this bug, it's bugging me, and put into the cap system so that they could be painted digitally. That was the whole basis for it. And then we could add backgrounds and all kinds of stuff. It worked great. I mean, that had a few bugs in it, but it worked. And that was how, the ink and paint kind of went away after that. And the women or folks that were doing ink and paint, it was a lot of ladies that were doing. That's why I said women. It was back in the old days. They were retrained.
Hey, Caroline.
Hey, Caroline.
Caroline says there's a great question on YouTube. Not sure if it's been missed, but Morgan asked, do shadows always work best in cool tones, or are there certain times when they can have a warmer tone?
Yes, they absolutely can have. There are times when they can have a warmer tone. Depends on the bounced light that's going into them. Always. That is a good question.
Thank you, Caroline. And tell Morgan we said thank you for that question. Do you have any tips on how to make good shapes for animal character designs?
You look at for me, it's all about what is the animal, what is the basic shape of that animal to begin with. And then you got to really run with that. That's the biggest thing. That's how I think about it.
Hey, Vedanta's on.
Hey, Vedanta.
Hey! Do you ever write your own stories and then animate it?
Yeah, we're doing that with Snow Bear right now.
Have you ever been
Yep.
to India? Love from India.
I have been to India. I've been to Delhi. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. I want to come back. I've got friends in India that I've never met in person. I want to go back. So I'm just adding some variations in value. To round it out a little bit, get a little bit more light on this guy. I'm going to do a little experiment. I want to grab some fairly blue tone.
Do you have any do's or don't advice for self-taught character artists?
I have a lot. We need to sit down and talk about that. Because there's a lot of do's and don'ts, a lot of fundamentals. I've got a character design course where I go over a lot of the do's and don'ts. One of the things is one of the biggest fundamentals in character design is two things. Remember that there's anatomy in your character, no matter how cartoony your character is, and that character has to abide by the laws of the physics of that anatomy. The other one is, don't design even characters. Don't design characters that their overall structure is very even in the way that it's designed, because it'll become very boring. Just getting a little bit more cool.
How long will the story take to animate approximately?
For Snow Bear,
Snow Bear, most likely.
probably about 9 months.
When did you leave Disney?
I left Disney in 2010.
Do you ever paint with lower opacity settings on the brush, or do you rely on the pen pressure?
Pen pressure is pen pressure. I rely on. There we go. So let's go back into the grass. We're going to get
How long is the Snow Bear video going to be?
Probably about 8 minutes. That's our goal.
So let's say about 9 months time to animate 9 minutes worth of footage.
8 minutes.
8 minutes.
Yep.
Cute.
That's what it takes.
Is Photoshop still the best? I use an Android tablet app and it gets kind of heavy.
I don't know if it's the best. It's what I'm used to. That's why I use it. I know there's other painting softwares out there. I just haven't tried them out yet. So you can see as you build up your details over the rough areas, it starts to come together. And I use less and less of the extreme color. So right here I'm using brights, but I'm not using as much of the bright as I did the color before. So I can break it up nicely.
Do you use Procreate, and if so, do you have any advice for that app?
I've got a whole course on Procreate. So yes, I do use it, and I've got a whole course on my website, creatureartteacher.com, on how to use Procreate. It's my approach to Procreate. Yeah, it's like a 7-hour, 8-hour course. Shoot, I was going to say I saw the I saw the name of the author of When Legends Die, but it's gone now. And Nick says no one wants to be the person to cancel The Simpsons. That's right. Shape design for animal characters is going to be a big part of David Coleman's course. So for the person out there that was asking if I knew David Coleman, if you're still on, he's going to be talking a lot about shape design.
Hello, Aaron.
Hello.
I've been following you for a long time. I love your jobs a lot, and I wanted to ask you a question. How do you deal with an artistic block?
I just push through it. Matter of fact, I'm kind of going through an artistic block right now. And my art tends to be not as fresh and good. I'm struggling with this one today a little bit, even though I'm putting on a good face. But I just push through because I know it's going to end. I go through it every once in a while. We all do.
How can you make your animation slower in 2D animation?
You add more drawings. That's how you slow it down. Add more drawings. So here, I'm going to try something else. Just want to see. If I can get away with doing a tree.
If you could draw just one animal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Big cats. For sure. I love drawing big cats. The drama, the anatomy, the musculature, all of that. When Legends Die is by Hal Borland. So if any of you out there are interested in reading the book that I fell in love with as a kid, it's by Hal Borland. Halborland. Hal Borland. This was a book that really I loved it. I read it I think 3 times. as a kid. Twitch question, could you show us the original reference image again, please? Yes, just one moment as I get through here.
Caroline says, I told my Garrett how long 8 minutes took to animate and how many drawings that was. He nearly passed out.
Yeah, it's a labor of love, I'll tell you. So I'm just adding some scrub back here. Really is what I'm doing. I wonder if I need to move it up here.
Have you tried caricature drawings?
I used to do caricatures in college for money. Yes.
Didn't you guys make fun of each other by doing caricatures of each other in
Disney?
Disney?
Oh yeah, we did all the time. We were pretty brutal with each other too.
I don't remember if you did it to yourself, but I remember the drawing where we have a smaller head but a big nose.
Yeah.
It almost looked like
Here's the original right here for the person out there that was asking. Go ahead, Dustin.
But what was the name of that penguin that had the messed up cat as a sort of a buddy sidekick?
Bill the cat.
Bill the cat. But the penguin, like the nose kind of had that kind of shape.
Yeah. I think that was a picture your uncle did of me. So I'm going to finish this up pretty soon here. We're going to put quite a bit more attention on the butterfly. I just want to get some of these background elements in here. And what I can do is I can lock this layer and go in and
Have you ever made any comics?
not really, no.
Do you know of any platforms where beginners can submit drawings and have professionals like you critique them?
I don't right now. I think Schoolism is something that'll do that. It's fairly pricey, but it's worth it. You got some great artists in there that will look at your stuff, and yeah.
And I'm sure there's also similar communities in Discord. And Discord does something similar where you can share images like that.
Yeah.
Though I don't know the file sizes that you can show.
So I've alpha locked this, and I'm just going in and adding different bits of light hitting it, the background branches. And then I can go take it off and go filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and I'll just knock that back just a little bit. There we go. So it sits back there nicely.
Do you like to play with sharpness and blur to attract attention?
Yes, I do.
Who is your favorite artist?
No, I don't have a favorite. There's a lot of artists that I love. I just think are fantastic. One of my favorite contemporary artists right now, someone asked me this the other day, is Jeremy Lipking. He's an amazing painter.
Do you have ArtStation?
No. I don't have the art station. There, I already showed it. Okay. So I'm just going to hit a couple of highlight bits here. I want to finish off this grass.
Do you have a favorite watercolor artist like Daniel Smith, Winsor Newton, or not watercolor? There's a brand, I think.
Yeah, Winsor Newton. Yep, Winsor Newton for sure.
And I first saw Daniel, like, the person just asked, do you have a favorite watercolor? So I thought the person was referring to artist because of the Daniel Smith.
Yeah. Go.
Erica Bay's loving this image.
Oh, good. Thank you, Erica.
How do you manage to contain the shapes of the image in the painting? I find it difficult just from drawing. Once the lines are off, everything seems disconnected.
I just think about the unity of everything. I try to unify color, value, shape. I look at the shadows as shapes. It takes practice, that's for sure. Like within these shadows, even though I'm breaking them up, I'm not going beyond a certain value. And then when I go into the bright areas right here, I'm going to go a lot hotter and a lot brighter. Now watch this. Some of these will get really bright. I would never go this bright in the shadows.
Hey there, Dave.
Dave.
Dave, why the big pause? The watercolor brand you mentioned earlier was what was it again? Winsor Newton.
Winsor Newton.
Lovely work. Fur detail is ace. Do you know Animation Mentor?
Oh, I do have an ArtStation account. It's artstation.com, Aaron Blaise Art. Sorry. Nick set that up for me. I don't usually go on there. I thought ArtStation was software. Kind of an old guy when it comes to that stuff.
Hey, Mr. Blaise.
Hello.
Do you still animate for Disney?
I do not. No, I haven't animated for Disney for 10 years.
The most important question ever. Have you saved?
Yes. Just did again. So I'm just throwing in little bits of detail in the light areas. So you can see by adding this extra bright light that I've created, it makes those brighter areas in the shadows push back, get a little bit darker feeling. And that's the idea. I want coolness in the shadows, warmth in the light areas. I'm going to create an overlay. We go very warm with this overlay. Really hit our butterfly here. Now I'm going to do another overlay on top of that. Now I'm going to go bright. Very saturated. Oops. There we go.
How long does a piece like this take you?
Well, we've been at it for 2.5 hours. So that's how long. So here, that bug is bugging me. So here I'm going to brighten and warm some of these light areas. So we get a better sense of light on our bear.
Love your art, Aaron. One of your many fans here. My question is related to fur. Whenever I paint fur, it tends to get blurry and muddy. What would be your advice?
I don't. I keep the values simple, and you'll notice that when in my in the shadows, the value structure is not really pushed that far apart. And I keep the shapes as simple as I can, and then I break them up a little bit with fur, with little bits of fur detail, I should say. Let's sort of experiment here. I want to see what's going to happen if I go in with an overlay in the shadow areas. There we go.
Hey, Aaron.
Hey, what?
Do you recommend building an audience before doing commissions, or both at the same time?
Well, you could argue that you would build an audience by doing commissions. So you can do it at the same time for sure.
Colors, lighting, and
Colors,
shadows.
colors.
They always look flat and lifeless. Your images are so bright and wonderful. Do you have any tips, please?
You should have watched the whole process. This whole painting was a tip.
Well, it'll be saved on YouTube and Facebook, so you can watch it there.
This whole process was a tip. But I think in value and in temperature. Value is light and dark, temperature is warm and cool, and then letting my color be a version of one or both of those.
When will be the next live stream? That'll be Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yep. Every Friday.
Have you used Rebelle for watercolor? It's spelled Rebelle. Rebelle.
I don't think so.
Rebelle.
So I'm going to put a little bit of rim light on here. Sorry, Nick. I'm almost done.
Almost there.
YouTube question, Aaron, do you ever give yourself eye breaks from your art if you feel stuck? Yeah. Well, I don't overwork myself at all. I'm very good at taking it easy.
Question on time. This piece that you're currently doing is 2.5 hours. My question relates to finished pieces. I heard that Bob Ross would paint multiple versions of the same piece, specifically ones for showing and one created on camera. So the pieces you're doing on live stream, Would you consider these showpieces, or would you have spent more time on it?
No, this is my style. This is about how far I take a piece. There's some other ones that I might take more time with. Depends on what the need is. But to me, this is a pretty well finished piece.
Do you know Jay Jackson?
I know Jim Jackson.
Are you living with me and walk the movie?
Yeah, James Y. Jackson. Mr. James Young. Jackson.
Do you have any art supplies you exceptionally recommend?
Well, my most important art supplies are my Cintiq and my sketchbooks. So here I'm just trying to hit.
Is a reference really needed when creating illustrations?
It depends on what you're trying to create and how accurate you want it to be. If you have any anatomical questions about something that you want to be accurate, then yeah, you better have reference.
How many layers do you currently have?
Too many. I've got a lot. 20.
20.
20!
They're going to say 11.
Alright, almost done. Almost done, Nick. Alright. Put that in the folder.
Do you use some smoothing option with your stylet? Or
No. I don't like the smoothing option. It feels weird to me. I'm just adding a little bit more brighter grass in the background. Some insects in the air. Oops. There we go.
Do you have any opinions on the online schools like Animation Mentor?
I don't. I know that I've met a lot of people that have had great luck with them, and but I don't know them personally. I've never been involved with them, so I don't know. But I do know that there's a lot of people that have been happy with them. Just increasing some of this fur texture a little bit. A few areas. There we go.
Have you created your own fantasy creature?
I've done lots of fantasy creatures, yes.
Have you ever made one that is like not even named? Like I know you made like different versions of like Gryffindors and
Yeah, just made up creatures, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done lots of them. There we go.
Hi, Aaron. I am animating Baloo from the Jungle Book.
Awesome.
But for the bare necessities, a simple bare necessity. Forget about your worries and your strife.
All right, there we go. So now let's go in and try to hurry this up, Nick. Sorry. I'm going to image adjustments, hue and saturation. Let's push that saturation a touch.
Do you believe that anyone can be an artist?
Yep. I really do.
It doesn't. The eastern meadowlarks are really active now and are awesome for taking pictures. I'll definitely remember that, and I'll definitely be out in the hunt for them. Thank you.
Yeah, get some bright light on that monarch. Sorry, Dustin, go ahead.
Do you have any tips on getting the final sheen on your paintings?
That's kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm burning in a couple of areas to get them nice and hot.
But do you know how to get that same kind of sheen in like a traditional style, like oil or?
Yeah, it's the same thing. You just think about, you got to push your values. You got to go brighter, more pure.
Do you have any courses on storyboarding?
We sure do. We've got a wonderful course on storyboarding at Creature Art Teacher. By my good friend, Lyndon Ruddy. So there we go. There it is. Gonna be done with it. So there it is, folks.
Ba-bam.
Our little bear in the light, looking at a monarch, butterfly. I wish that I could fly in the sky so very high, like a butterfly.
To anywhere I fly.
No, I'd already used the word fly. See, you can use the word fly again because I already used the word
I
fly.
don't care.
I just want to get away. I want to fly away.
There we go. So there he is. I hope you guys learned something today. We had a really good time. I'm sorry we have to hurry up and get going because we got another course to film. My brother Travis is doing the Calipeg course, and so we want to get in there and start recording. But I hope you guys had a great time today. We're going to be back at it again on Friday. And remember, we've got a whole bunch of stuff on sale at creatureartteacher.com. Specifically, we've got our How to Paint Light course. It's 50% off. It covers a lot of stuff that I just talked to you guys about today here, plus a lot more. And so if you're interested in that, go check it out. And I highly recommend it because it will help you with adding form and drama and all kinds of stuff to your painting repertoire. So I hope you guys enjoyed today. Go out there, put some beauty back in the world. Be nice to somebody. Do some good. Be an artist, all right? Cause people to see the world in a new way for the better, all right? And I will talk to you on Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There you go, Dustin. Take it away.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Glad you guys enjoyed this stream. And if you guys are interested in any wildlife photography, if you haven't followed me yet, you can check me out at my Instagram at Dustin_Blaise. Again, that's on Instagram at Dustin_Blaise, and I do a bunch of wildlife photography, and I post a new thing every day. And also today, I'm happy to announce that by the end of today, officially the wildlife packs I've been promising are coming out. And so be sure to keep an eye out for those, and I'll see you guys this coming Friday. And until that time, Cowboy Bebop. Have a good day, guys.